Hey gang, welcome back to Inverted Pursuits Laboratory, and this week we're actually going to be dealing with our centering rings, the top two that I have, and mounting them to the motor mount tube and then inside the body tube. So the first thing you'll want to do is take your your eye bolt for your shock cord and get that attached on there, and then do a quick test fit to make sure that it will slide by the motor tube with no problem. But then you're also going to want to go ahead and just toss the other one on just kind of anywhere down below, and we're going to do a full test fit just kind of in the top of the rocket. And our goal is to see that the everything goes in and it can clear, and you still have enough room that you could actually get the quick link on there to attach your shock cord. And so that's enough room, and so that's the angle we're going to want to leave it at. The reason we want this on here now before we're gluing it is because we're actually going to end up putting some epoxy around these nuts on either side to ensure that they do not back out on us. Alright, so I went and checked the model real quick, and what we're going to be wanting is 5.5 inches for the centering ring that'll sit about here, and 7 3/8 of an inch for the next centering ring up. So we'll go ahead and mark those, and all of these are measured from the bottom end of the parent component, which is this guy here. So if I aim you guys down a little more, make sure that is well centered. So 5.5 inches is right there, and then 7 3/8 of an inch is right there. When I did design this rocket, I only designed the motor mount tube to be 8 inches, but because this is also going to be just an experimental rocket for me, I'm actually going to go ahead and leave my 1-foot motor mount tube the full 1 foot. And so my center rings are going to sit about part way down. I'm going to have this top part unsupported, but it really doesn't matter because there's no load up here. It's all being absorbed by these two. The next thing we want to do is go ahead and put the camera back up a bit. We're going to put tape around the base here. Reference against when, oh boy, this is hard to do with 2 hands and in the air. So you have something to reference roughly against when you're wrapping the tape around. And the idea is you want this top edge to be very, very square. So it's not perfect. Alright, and there we go. We're pretty gosh darn close. And I'm just going to do roughly 2 hole wraps all the way around before I knock that off. And then we slide the first centering ring down and on, and that tape provides a shelf for the centering ring to sit on. Now the next one we know wants to sit here, so again we're going to put tape around there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put epoxy around this top edge and the top edge here, and then we will flip it over, and we're actually only going to put epoxy on the bottom edge of this one. This second centering ring we want to leave unepoxied because our fins are actually going to come up and mate against that surface, and if they are not, if there's epoxy fillet in there, these will not sit in flush. They'll end up wanting to stick off in some weird way, and they won't actually sit in properly. So we want to make sure there's no epoxy fillets on the bottom edge of this centering ring, and we'll have actually the same thing on the bottom centering ring. Once we put that on, we won't put that one on until after the fins are mounted. So onto epoxy. Gang, so now we're mixing epoxy, which is the fun part. So I've got my West Systems epoxy resin and my epoxy hardener. Mixing this is a 1-to-1 ratio. Reason I like West Systems, and so it's just a simple. Oh wait, we might run into this. I forgot about this. All right, there's one there. It's actually not as much as I thought it would be. Forgot about priming the pump. Okay, that's what it sounded like. You got some. There you go. Smidge more. Alright, so we then mix the two of these together. Forms this pinkish slurry. And then what we want to do, because we're actually, this is a little thin to be placing directly on there. We're going to use some of these colloidal silica adhesive filler. We call them death beads affectionately, and you just get a little bit and add it in there. You want to get closer? Get in here. And we just take the epoxy and gently spread it around our exterior. I also want to make sure I get some on my eye bolt here so it holds in place.
Avoid the edges of the centering ring, otherwise it won't fit in the body tube anymore.
Yeah, then you get a sand.
Yeah.
So I'm fighting that problem right now.
Glad that we made it a little bit thicker.
So am I. Oh, it's not thick enough.
And this will work. But yeah.
It's a little thin. I can tell that just mostly because it's spreading out faster than it should be.
For your second one, I would add a little more beads to what you've already got.
Oh, goodness.
Because you can do a bottom fillet on that,
top one there.
Yeah. Since you have 3.
Okay, now this one is literally pudding pack thickness. It's thick.
Yeah, there you go. You can tell we're kind of working fast because time is of the essence with epoxy.
Yep, you gotta pop like, whoop, where we're dripping. T-nuts, and they just get
Globbed.
a nice little slurry glob on there.
Avoid the threads, otherwise that's going to be,
And then the butt to clean.
yeah, a nightmare to deal with, is what I was going to say.
And mine is already gonna have to be sanded down some, so I don't care how much of a mess I make here. They already have to clean this up and sand it down. So I'm just making a mess because I can. Alright. And just like that, that's the first step of epoxying. This should not be this
Dripping.
thin. Yeah, it's not great, but it'll end up holding. The bottom one here is much more what I wanted, what I was going for, so I was just a little thin on the top one. I'll get the bottom side of this for sure. And just a reminder, we will fillet the bottom side of this centering ring. We will not fillet the bottom side of this one because this is where the fins will slot in right here. So we're back about 3 hours later, and as you can see, this is actually, it's a little tacky, but it's pretty well set up. This is about usually a good time to come down here, and if you've dripped any, it's really easy to just peel your excess epoxy off, because you can see this is still super rubbery, and so it just comes right off the table. It's a lot easier to get off than when it fully dries. But we're gonna go ahead and get ready. I've already taken the blue tape off the other side here. Of course, there's a little bit that just doesn't want to come off, but we'll throw a fillet on this side and let it dry, and then from there we will be mounting it in the body tube. On to the next.
You're not doing a fillet on the bottom centering ring, right?
Not on this one.
Yeah.
This one is where my fins will go.
Junior.
And that is our shop manager.
Hey, babe. Whoop. He gone.
Forgot this was balanced. For a split second there.
He was coming to say hi and inspect the work. Now you terrified him.
It happens. I drop things. So.
But see, guys, how it's like not moving once he sets it down and it's not dripping at all? That's the consistency we want.
Not what we had on the last
Yeah.
set. That was way too thin.
We were, it's been a hot second since we've done this, so.
We were trying to conserve material because this stuff's expensive.
Yeah, especially the silica beads.
Yeah. Sometimes you just can't conserve material and you have to just accept the fact that you're gonna...
We're still gonna have enough for all of our fin.
Oh yeah, we've got plenty for what we're doing. Guys, so our fillets are now all dry. It has been almost a full 24 hours since we first started this yesterday for the gluing. So the next thing we're going to do is actually sand the outsides where we had some epoxy spill over on our centering rings. I've got 2 centering rings to sand. I'll just watch. Okay. Now we are to take and take my pre-damaged cup, and pour the epoxy down and in. Rotate it. Continue our pouring. Rotate it and didn't quite get it all in there. Continue our pouring. Rotate it and continue pouring lots of glue in there. I'm probably putting a little much in here, but okay, it's coming out the other side. That's enough. That's pretty much how you know when it's enough, because it's coming out the other side. And then
need any help? Or paper towel at least?
Yeah, they're not down here. I forgot them upstairs. Alright, and just like that, that is lined up in there. What we're going to do is take the rocket now and set it on end. And now that it's set on end, all the epoxy will actually flow down and spread out against the outside edge of the centering ring. Thanks for watching, gang. Hope you enjoyed watching this. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section on this video, and I will do my best to answer them as quickly as possible. And stick around for the next video where we are going to get to fins.